of the Road.
It's the 190th episode of the King of the Road Show. I'm Jim King. During the next 30 minutes, we'll wrap up our look in the rear view at King of the Road Productions' recent European adventure with visits to Florence, Italy, and Lugano, Switzerland. In this episode, we've returned to Florence, widely regarded to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. When it comes to culture, cuisine, art, and architecture, Florence, Italy is in a league of its own. Oh, and speaking of cuisine, our sponsor for this European series is Carrabba's Italian Grill in Beaumont. Having spent a lot of time in Italy, I'm very particular about Italian food. And as far as finding authentic Italian cuisine in Southeast Texas, there's no better place than Carrabba's Italian Grill. Carrabba's is located at 1550 Interstate 10 South in Beaumont, and they are open Monday through Thursday, 4 to 10 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11, Saturdays 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Be at Carrabba's on Wine Wednesdays and get $10 off any bottle on their extensive wine list. For more information, visit carrabbas.com. Now join me as we fly off to beautiful Florence, Italy.
Oh, hi, y'all.
Sky King! Sky King, flight LH441, non-stop from Houston, Texas to King of the Road's birthplace, Frankfurt, Germany. Final destination, Florence, Italy. During the long flight, we were treated to several delicious meals. In addition to free beverages and wonderful meals, I got to enjoy a free bag of Happy Mix. Happy Mix really does make you happy. It was the happiest flight I've ever had. During the last couple of King of the Road episodes, we've been recapping our recent European adventure with visits to Florence, Italy, and Lugano, Switzerland. At the conclusion of last week's show, we had just returned from 2 enchanting days and nights in lovely Lugano. We're back in Florence, Italy, one of the most beautiful cities on earth, and home to my mother, Dr. Martha J. King. As I mentioned in our last program, my mom has lived in and around Florence since 1979. I'm proud to say that Martha, a retired teacher who now translates books from Italian to English, has had over 20 of her works published. Anyway, it's always great to see Mom, especially in beautiful Italy.
Well, here it is, the Duomo, one of the largest Christian cathedrals in the entire world.
As promised in the last program, we're now checking out the magnificent interior of the Duomo. Its dimensions are enormous. Length 502 feet, width 124 feet, width at the crossing 295 feet. The height of the arches and the aisles is 75 feet, and the height from the pavement to the opening of the lantern in the dome is also 295 feet. The Gothic interior is vast and gives an empty impression. Many decorations in the church have been lost in the course of time or have been transferred to the Museum Opera del Duomo, such as the magnificent cantorial pulpits, the singing galleries for the choristers of Luca della Robbia and Donatello. As the cathedral was built with funds from the public, some important works of art in the church honor illustrious men and military leaders of Florence. The cathedral underwent difficult excavations between 1965 and 1974. The subterranean vaults were used for the burial of Florentine bishops throughout the centuries. Recently, the archaeological history of this huge area was reconstructed, and remains of Roman houses were discovered, an early Christian pavement, ruins of a former cathedral, and successive enlargements of this church. Close to the entrance in the part of the crypt that is open to the public is the tomb of Brunelleschi. You may recall that Brunelleschi was the architect of the church's cupola, the giant dome. While the location of Brunelleschi's tomb is prominent, the actual tomb is simple and humble. That the architect was permitted such a prestigious burial place is proof of the high esteem he was given by the Florentines. The octagonal baptistry stands in both the Piazza del Duomo and the Piazza di San Giovanni across from the Duomo Cathedral and the Giotto Bell Tower. It is one of the oldest buildings in the city, built between 1059 and 1128. The architecture is in Florentine Romanesque style. The baptistry is renowned for its 3 sets of artistically important bronze doors with relief sculptures. The doors were dubbed by Michelangelo as the Gates of Paradise. The Italian poet Dante and many other notable Renaissance figures, including members of the Medici family, were baptized in the baptistry. In fact, until the end of the 19th century, all Catholic Florentines were baptized here. For a long time, it was believed that the baptistry was originally a Roman temple dedicated to Mars, a god of the old Florence. The present much larger baptistry was built in Romanesque style around 1059, evidence of the growing economic and political importance of Florence. It was reconsecrated on the 6th of November 1059 by Pope Nicholas II, a Florentine. According to legend, the marble was brought from Fiesole, conquered by Florence in 1078. Other marble came from ancient structures. The construction was finished in 1128. Between the 14th and 16th century, 3 bronze double doors were added with bronze and marble statues above them. This gives an indication that the baptistry at that time was at least equal to the neighboring cathedral in importance. The Ponte Santa Trinità, Italian for Holy Bridge, is a Renaissance bridge in Florence, Italy, spanning the Arno. The Ponte Santa Trinità is the oldest elliptic arch bridge in the world, the 3 flattened ellipses giving the structure its celebrated elegant appearance. The outside spans each measure 95 feet and the center span being 105 feet in length. The bridge was constructed from 1567 to 1569. Its site, downstream from the equally remarkable Ponte Vecchio, is a major link in the medieval street plan of Florence, which has been bridged at the same site since the 13th century. The wooden bridge of 1252 was swept away in a flood 7 years later and was rebuilt in stone. On August 8, 1944, the bridge was destroyed by retreating German troops, but reconstructed in 1958 with original stones raised from the Arno, or taken from the same quarry.
You'll notice cracks on the bridge, and the Italians actually picked the bridge up piece by piece and put it all back together. I'm looking at this pensione here that in 1972, I stayed there with my parents and my sister, Jean. We had a hotel room right upstairs. Pensione means hotel in Italian. You can see the windows up there where we had dinner every night. I was 12 years old, my sister was 13, so actually I've been in Florence every decade of my life since the late 50s. Here we are at another market. I tell you, these are real centers of activity here in Italy. People love their markets, and they've got everything here: fresh fruits and vegetables, clothing. You can even find, well, underwear, wines, cheeses. Anything you want is here.
It's the King of the Road Show, and we're wrapping up our look in the rear view at our recent European adventure with a visit to Florence, Italy. More in a moment.